And now we're going to talk about part 2. In part 2, you have to speak on a topic given by examiner. You'll be given a card with various questions, and then you have to prepare for 1 minute and take notes before start speaking. Once 1 minute is up, you'll introduce your topic and you'll speak for 2 minutes until the examiner will ask you to stop. So make sure you speak as much as possible and don't end your speaking until the examiner asks you to do so. Remember, introducing your topic is very important because it will help your examiner follow your ideas and know what you're going to talk about. So, for example, you can begin your speech by saying something like this: I'm going to talk about, or I'm going to discuss about. So, make sure you introduce your topic using such words. And also keep in mind, using transition words are very important. Transition words we have such as first of all, however, for example, finally, and so on. So make sure you're using them because that will help your examiner to understand your ideas better, and also that will help him to follow them better as well. Also important point here to remember is that you need to talk a lot and you need to make sure you are speaking spontaneously. So you are not memorizing some specific sentences or vocabulary words, but using your own words. And now we are going to discuss our part 2 example prompt. As you remember, in part 2 you'll be given candidate task card. You'll be asked to do the following as an example we have on the slide. Describe something you own which is very important to you. You should say where you got it from, how long you have had it, what you use it for, and explain what is important, why it is important to you. So when you have a task like this, you'll have 1 minute to prepare before you speak. And then once 1 minute is up, examiner will ask you to start speaking. So you'll have 2 minutes to speak and show your ability of speaking English. So you should try to speak as much as possible, and it's very important point to remember that you should answer all the questions that are presented in the card, such as where you got the gift or the things that you possess that is important to you, how long you have had it, so present a number, maybe 2 months, maybe 5 years, and what you use it for. So give an example and explain what you use it for, and of course give some reasons why this is an important thing to you. Once you're done speaking, you will have some rounding off questions that examiner will ask you about the topic you talked. So they might sound like this: is it valuable in terms of money, and would it be easy to replace? So remember that you should not give yes or no, I don't know, maybe kind of answers, and you should speak in 2-3 complete sentences. And now let's take a look how to take notes. For example, you'll have a candidate card that will ask you to do the following: describe a trip you have taken recently. You should say where you went, who went with you, and why you went there. So when you're taking your notes, make sure you are not writing complete sentences. You only write down a couple of words that will help you to remember your ideas fast. So for example, where, you can write down something like about 40 kilometers from home, and who, my entire family, why, visit to our grandparents. So remember, you shouldn't write complete sentences because while speaking and when you try to read them, you'll get more confused. So you only need to see the words, the keywords that will help you to remember your ideas and continue to speak about your topic. So taking notes should be real fast, and you have to make sure you are covering the most important points like where, who, and why. Now we're going to discuss about personal feelings. Showing your personal feelings is very important during your part 2. And remember, in the last part of the part 2, you'll be asked to explain something about your personal feelings about the topic. For example, why it is important to you, or why you like it, or maybe why you dislike it. So the main strategy here is to think of 3 logical responses to the questions, then say a couple of sentences about each one. So for example, you have a reason 1, why you like it, then you present supporting details and show an example. And remember, Do not memorize your response. You should try to talk naturally as much as possible and try not to be nervous. And here we have example of students' response for the part 2. Read carefully and this will give you an idea how to respond to this type of task.